Okay, I'm going to try out giving a voiced over PowerPoint here so that you can have access to the lectures online now that we're moving to the online platform. So this is just a test to see how this all goes. And I thought I'd use this opportunity to describe what I envision moving forward for the remainder of the semester. And obviously, this is all going to be subject to further change if needed. But one thing that I can tell you as of now is that I recently put out a survey to see who had internet access issues. So far, it's only been a minority of you, a small minority, that have had significant barriers. Rest assured, if you're among those, I will be in contact with you. Most of us have some minor inconveniences that we're going to need to overcome in order for the online instruction to go on. But, if you have some sort of documented accommodation needs, I'll be paying particular attention to those needs during this time. So some of the main revisions that we're going to have to make to the instruction for the remainder of the semester include that the lectures will be recorded, somewhat similar to what you see here, but they will take place in an asynchronous manner, meaning that you will be able to view those lectures when it works out for you in your schedule. There will be a couple, 2 to 3 of those kind of lectures per week, each of which will be shorter duration than an actual class time, just for ease of consumption. But it would be good if you can try and keep up with those and watch them as they come in. The recitations we're still figuring out, but we're going to try to make sure that they involve some sort of virtual help or support from the TAs and myself. In addition, the number of modules that had been set out in the syllabus as what was to be covered in the class may need to be adjusted, and or the depth at which I cover them may need to be adjusted. Of course, if I go into less detail than I originally planned to, then the expectation level for you to show your understanding for that module will also be adjusted. The planned schedule that has been set out in the syllabus is going to need to be revised as well. In particular, the third exam, really, we won't be prepared to have that take place when it was originally scheduled. And so that's going to need to be pushed back a week or two. The exams will be taken online because we don't have much of a choice at this time. But I've done this kind of online exams before. I've taught classes fully online, and so I am aware of how to try and make these things fair. Some of the things that I know how to do, for example, will be to allot extra time if you are one of those that gets extended time on your test through a DRS accommodation. I know how to randomize the questions to make sure that there's a fair assessment for everybody. And of course, I will be understanding if you should encounter some sort of technical issue. I'm hoping that will be at a minimum, since most of you have reported that you do have some sort of reliable internet access. I don't anticipate a huge number of technical issues that will arise, but I will deal with those on a case-by-case basis with some amount of flexibility in how we manage that. The weighting scheme that was originally in your syllabus, which is kind of confusing because we had 3 different possible ways of weighting the course, we're going to need to adjust that to make it more fair for you. I just came out of a department meeting about this, and the suggestion was that to be sure that you will not be receiving a grade which is any lower than what you would have received before this implementation of online instruction. So that being said, I will be able to, in the near future, provide for you an estimate of where your grade stood going into this crisis, and then That way you'll know that whatever weighting is going to change in future exams and so on will can only serve to benefit you and not take away from that grade. Okay, and finally, the adjusted schedule, or the tentative adjusted schedule that I have in mind, is to start next week by reviewing Module 8 and wrapping up all the loose ends there before moving on to Module 9. Then you can see how I envision the next several weeks to go. I'm thinking that we need to push Exam 3 to the week of April 6th. Unfortunately, that puts it rather close to the final exam, but it needs to be delayed, so I don't see a way around that at this point. You can see that in the final week of classes leading up to finals week, there are 3 modules that are sort of crammed in there at the end. We may not get through all 3 of those, and if that's the case, then the material that will be included in the final exam will be adjusted accordingly. And we can figure that out as we go. Anyway, I hope that this answers some of your most immediate questions about how the class will proceed from this point on, and I will talk to you again soon.